The Insta360 Luna Ultra has a lot going for it, but it isn't perfect. In fact, far from it. And it's not for everybody. Today we're going to talk about all of the quirkier sides of the camera that I discovered in my last couple of weeks of using it. And I'll give you my opinion on exactly who I think this camera is for. Hey, my name's Justin Brooks. I'm a filmmaker in New York, and I have a ton of content coming up surrounding the Insta360 Luna Ultra and the upcoming DJI Pocket 4P. So if you're interested in anything to do with those cameras or anything filmmaking in general, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and let's keep talking all things filmmaking. Now, I've already done a pretty comprehensive review on the Insta360 Luna Ultra, so if that's something you're interested in, click the link here or here, I don't know. I'll definitely link it down below. But after using this camera for the last couple of weeks, I have a really good idea of all its quirks, and I definitely have a better idea of exactly who this camera is meant for. Now, my second feature film, Bloodshine, comes out later this year, but it was also playing the Chattanooga Film Fest, so my wife and I thought that this was an awesome opportunity to go support the film one more time. And I thought it was a great opportunity to bring along the Luna Ultra to see exactly what it could do in the wild. So we packed our bags and made our way to Tennessee. All right, it is 4 in the morning and I'm headed off to the airport, so let's get going. I'm not going to leave my camera in the room. All right, made it. Chattanooga. I'm into it.
Do the Humpty Hump. Come on and do the Humpty Hump.
Final festival stop.
Signal, fine, festival start. That was it.
That was it.
Last festival for the film. How'd you feel?
Felt kind of giddy. And I loved the reactions of the guy behind us. I think he was one of my favorite audience members of the entire festival tour.
Yeah, this guy behind us kept squirming and squealing and a lot of like, ooh, oh, which is
Hammer at the very beginning.
Yep, which is exactly what you want a horror audience to do. So, thank you, Chattanooga. And check out Bloodshine, coming out very soon. So,
Hey, fucking Chattanooga, I need you around. Thank you, good night.
Now, like I said, after shooting with the Luna Ultra for a couple of weeks now, I've gotten a real good idea of its issues, and I've gotten a ton of questions. So let's talk about some of the pitfalls you're going to encounter with this camera, and let's talk a little bit about exactly who this camera is meant for. And before we say all that, I've got to stop and say, guys, this is just a camera. This is not your personality. We should be able to give constructive criticism to a camera brand without it hurting your feelings. The more criticism we give these camera brands, the harder they're going to work to give us better cameras in the future. And that's what we want, right? Better cameras. And yes, this is a fantastic little camera. Anybody that purchases this camera is going to walk away very happy, myself included. But we have to be able to hold these camera brands' feet to the fire so that they work on bettering their gear, making better cameras for us in the future so that we have better and better cameras to work with. But now that that's out of the way, let's move along to the first issue, the zoom. Now, I've said my piece about the zoom and the idea of lossless zoom. If you have to crop your sensor to get through the entire zoom range, well, that's just not lossless zoom. But that's not the only problem we've got with the zoom. In fact, we have some pretty noticeable exposure changes throughout the zooming process, even if the exposure is locked. Now, of course, we can kind of understand where this comes from. I mean, both the lenses have different aperture values, and when you change lenses, you're changing to an entirely different sensor. And listen, this would be all good and we'd understand if they didn't make such a big deal about continuous zoom. That's one of the biggest features they kept on talking about. And an exposure change throughout the zoom range, well, that's just not usable. See that jump in exposure? No? Take a look at the scopes. You should see smooth transitions, but there is an obvious tick in the exposure. Now, that'd be all good if they didn't keep promoting continuous zoom, but that's just not usable if the exposure changes throughout the zoom range. Now, could this be fixed in firmware? Most likely. And luckily, Insta360 is pretty diligent in their firmware upgrades. But as the camera we have right now, it's an issue. Now, secondly, and this is something I absolutely hate to report, but my camera overheated and shut down twice already. Oh, I just got a high temperature. And actually in this room, I wasn't doing any crazy frame rates or wild things with the camera. In fact, I was shooting log, 4K, 24p, and I shot for about an hour. Now, this is a warm room, I'll admit, there's no AC, but I live in New York, not Texas, so it's not scathing, it's pretty standard. It's a standard warm room. Now, I can't even imagine what this camera is going to do if it's actually in a hot environment and shooting at any length of time. You see, when I was shooting in my room, both times I was shooting for about an hour. But again, it's about an hour at 4K 24p. If this camera can't pull that off, then there's big problems. The bigger issue is that this is more than likely not something that can be fixed in firmware upgrades. So I think we have an overheating problem in the Insta360. Now, this one might seem a little nitpicky, but I just don't feel like we have enough control over the image in the camera. I mean, I actually have to open the Insta360 app just to change sharpness for iLog, and I can't do it in the camera. Like, what is that? We should absolutely be able to make all our major image changes within the camera without having to constantly fumble with a phone. And honestly, beyond that in general, the controls need some serious refining. Now, I'm not saying it's not a great menu. I mean, Insta360 definitely copied their homework there. And come on, Insta360, we need custom camera profiles within camera. Now, all this workaround where we have to go into our phone and scan a barcode just to bring up a custom profile, I mean, it's ridiculous. We should be able to do everything within our camera. I mean, with a camera like this, convenience is key. This is supposed to be low friction filmmaking, and that's just busy work to be able to recall an image profile you like. And for many of us that use this camera as a webcam or for streaming, well, that's just not possible right now. Now, I know that this is definitely coming in a firmware upgrade in the future, but come on. This is just another example of Insta360 being far more interested in getting their camera to market than they are giving us a usable camera. Now, will all of these things be available in future firmware upgrades? Sure, probably, maybe. But I am tired of camera companies thinking it is okay to sell us unfinished products. If your camera's not done, don't release it. And lastly, and this will help me explain exactly who I think this camera is for, the bitrate. The Insta360 currently shoots at 120 megabits per second. That's the high-end bitrate. Resolution isn't the only thing that contributes to a camera's image. Bitrate is important. The lower the bitrate, the lower the quality. Bitrate especially shows up when you're dealing with what could be considered complex images, such as this. It affects all those tiny little lines and changes in contrast and color. A low bitrate turns this kind of thing into mud. You start seeing more artifacts the more the picture is compressed. Now, you shouldn't see too much of an issue with simpler shots, things like a talking head, still life images, things that aren't busy. But it is a lower bit rate than the Pocket 4 at 180 megabits per second, and it is likely a lower bit rate than the upcoming Pocket 4P. So that kind of brings me to, who exactly is this camera meant for? From what I've experienced with my Luna Ultra so far, it seems this camera is really targeted at the content creator, but maybe not so much the pro market. The conveniences built into this product are many and going to make a very low friction, quick output device, but sometimes at the cost of more pro features or experience. DJI has had 4 iterations of their camera to really refine the user experience. And you can tell every single time you pick up one of the Pocket cameras. The pro features in the DJI cameras are plenty, giving you an amazing pro experience, but not at the cost of a casual user. But it is pretty clear which direction DJI is headed, and that is definitely to a higher end market. I mean, why else would you release your camera at Cannes? DJI promoting high dynamic range in their Pocket 4P over bells and whistles and detachable screens kind of shows where they're headed. I mean, higher bitrate images releasing at Cannes, they're definitely looking for a higher end clientele for the Pocket 4P. But this is all based off of very little information that we have so far. I mean, yes, DJI is slowly rolling out this release, but until I have it in my hands, I can't say for sure. These are just kind of my assumptions based off of what I've seen. So I guess in summary, I would say, while yes, the Luna Ultra is capable of very professional looking images, I think it is far more built for the creator. It is built for social media, for YouTube, for content creators, and maybe not refined for the commercial user. That's a market DJI is definitely running towards. But don't let any of these things deter you from picking up the Luna Ultra. This is still a very fun camera and a very, very capable camera. I have absolutely loved shooting with this camera so far, and the good far outweighs the bad. And most of the bad is very fixable in future firmware upgrades, something Insta360 has always been very good at. So whether you're a content creator or a casual filmmaker, the Insta360 Luna Ultra will be a great camera to learn and to grow with. But what do you think? Do the flaws move you closer to possibly picking up the DJI Pocket 4P, or are you ready to ride that firmware wave that is inevitable with the Insta360? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. But thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Come back here for all things film and filmmaking. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.